Amid the dusty archives of an old Parisian atelier lay a sketch wrapped in hand-embroidered silk. No needle had ever touched that design, no model had ever worn it, and yet it was sold for millions. Its lines were so perfect it was once called the last masterpiece of fashion. But why then was it never worn? This is the story of the sketch that captivated the world and was buried by it. In the 1970s, a time when Paris was bursting with creative revolutions, a little-known name began to circulate among the boldest couturiers. Henri Valmont, a meticulous tailor obsessed with 19th-century silhouettes and fabrics that were no longer made. Henri didn't attend parties or welcome visitors. People said he lived among the clothes he created, and that each piece had a soul. It was on a silent winter night that he drew that sketch, a dress that blended the romance of the Victorian era with the daring lines of futuristic geometry. It was as if past and future had met on a single sheet of paper. The sketch was shown only once, at a private event. The few who saw it wept, literally, but shortly after, Henri vanished without a trace, and the sketch became legend. The news spread like rare perfume. The original sketch was up for sale. A prestigious auction house announced that Henri Valmont's drawing would go to private auction. The fashion world went mad. Chanel, Dior, Valentino. The biggest fashion houses sent secret representatives, each one with a blank check. The bids rose like bursting champagne. The sketch was sold for $2 million to a brand whose name was never revealed. But what no one expected was that instead of producing the dress, the brand locked the drawing in a vault. No one would ever see it again. No thread would be cut. The design would exist only as a symbol of power and exclusivity. As years went by, rumors began to circulate. Designers who tried to replicate the model, even without the original in hand, met tragic ends. An experienced seamstress suffered a nervous breakdown trying to mimic its curves. A renowned designer saw his brand collapse after announcing a collection inspired by the forgotten sketch. Superstition or not, a legend was born. The sketch is cursed. They say Henri, in his perfectionist obsession, placed something within the lines, something that should never be touched, an invisible signature that doomed anyone who tried to bring to life something that perhaps was never meant to live. Among all the mysteries, one detail was never explained. Who was the woman drawn in the sketch? The slender figure, the sideways glance, a pose that carried both strength and softness. She didn't look like just a model. She looked real, a portrait. But of whom? Whispers began to circulate behind the scenes of haute couture. The woman did exist. She was an unknown dancer, of Russian origin, who had a brief romance with Henri Valmont. They said she died tragically, and that the dress was drawn as a promise, or as mourning stitched in fine lines. Her identity was never confirmed. Not even the facial features could be matched to anyone known, as if she had been created solely to be remembered, but never touched. Decades passed. Henri Valmont's name faded into obscurity, until Elise, a young fashion student from rural France, stumbled upon a faded copy of the sketch inside an old notebook at a second-hand bookstore. She felt a calling, not fear, not ambition, but something deeper, a desire to understand the soul behind the drawing. With care and respect, Elise stitched each part of the design, using classical techniques and materials nearly impossible to find. And when she finally finished, the dress seemed to float. It wasn't just beautiful, it was sacred. The piece was shown at an independent fashion show, but contrary to all expectations, Elise didn't sell it. She stored the dress in a linen box and returned to a simple life, just like Henri. When asked why, she replied, "Not every creation is meant to be worn. Some exist only to remind us where we came from." This story reminds us that behind every line in a fashion sketch, there may be a secret, a sorrow, or an inspiration the world may never fully understand. And that's why every pose, every line, and every curve you draw must carry purpose. If you're passionate about fashion and want to create sketches with personality, elegance, and emotion, discover my exclusive ebook with feminine croquis poses. It was made for designers who, like Henri Valmont, believe that sketching is more than technique. It's art, it's soul, it's history. Click the link in the video description or the first pinned comment to discover how to turn your lines into legacy.